So even though you see more marginalization coming, you don't necessarily foresee necessarily a dark time?
Well, I think
for the church.
Yeah, I've tried to say this over the years. I don't think there ever was a good old day, and so I don't. This will definitely be a new season for Bible-believing Christians in the United States. You can already see. You can see those who are progressives, which I've just always laughed at that term. It's just a funny term. As if we've got a ton of evidence that we're making progress. It's funny if you go back and look at some of the things that were said about being on the right side of history in Russia around Stalin, and everybody makes that argument, the right side of history, and you're just like, well, you might want to wait on that. Can we really judge right side of history right now? Don't we need to give it a century or so, right. 50 years or so? And so ultimately, this kind of idea that there's this progress, I think it's the wrong idea. And so I've just tried to teach the men and women at the Village, let's be faithful in our presence. So let's work hard in our jobs. Let's serve the community well. Let's be known as people who are genuinely loving and care, and do life deeply with one another. And so the Christian practice of hospitality becomes imperative in an environment where there is growing hostility. And so the men and women who come to my house, they're not all pretty well put together people. And so whether, we've got a dear friend of ours, long time practicing homosexual, who taught my daughter to ride horses and has been to our house for dinner and has come over on holidays, and so if someone were to find out I was a Bible-believing Christian and go listen to my hour-and-a-half long message on homosexuality and call me a bigot, she would just laugh. She'd laugh till she peed her pants. The idea that I'm hateful or bigoted towards her she wouldn't have a category for that. And she's not a project. She's a dear friend. In fact, I just had my 40th birthday party. Just my closest friends and family were there, and she was there. She would just laugh that if anyone said, "Oh, he's just trying to, you're a project to him." She would just laugh at all of that. And so, by loving people, walking with them, encouraging them, and not agreeing with them, that practice of hospitality can kind of transcend the accusations made against many Bible-believing Christians. It's when you're afraid of them, and you're afraid that you might catch the sins, or you buy into fear-mongering, that I think you lose your testimony of the goodness and grace of God. So to understand that we live in a world that thinks that disagreement means I hate you, or disagreement means something along those lines. I'm afraid of you or I hate you is what I've picked up on is if I disagree with someone on the issues of homosexuality, on the issues of gay marriage, on the issue of abortion, the argument almost always turns angry and aggressive quickly, that I either hate somebody or that I'm afraid of someone, and neither are true. I just disagree. And I think, my history might be a little fuzzy here, but I think the country's kind of been built around this idea that we have the right to disagree with one another and still respect one another and do life in the same place. Mm-hmm. And so my hope is that on both sides of things, we can learn to disagree, and please compel me to try to change my mind. I'm planning on compelling you to change yours.
Right.
And I think that's what's made America so awesome, is that there's been this freedom of ideas that let's talk through it. Let me try to compel you, you try to compel me. I think we have the better story.
Right.
I think we've got the better story. Grace, forgiveness, healing, wholeness, human flourishing. That's our story. That's our message.